Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. But you can call me Pajama Grandma. Pretty sure we've met, but in case we haven't, Pajama Grandma in the comments below. Then I know it's the first time you're being exposed to the Pajama Grandma. Today is day 28, and I call this one Art plus Science equals Supersizing Your Business. Because supersizing our business is 90% process and 10% art. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We're supposed to talk about a funny story today. And trying to think of a funny story led me to an epiphany today. And I guess I've known it because that's my life, but I haven't really paid attention to it. You know how we have things running around in our lives at an unconscious level, and then every once in a while they sneak up to the surface and we notice them? I had one of those trying to think of a funny story. I was thinking about things like when I wore two different colored shoes to work a day that I had a presentation, because I got dressed in the dark and navy blue and black looked the same, and I had the same type shoes, and I wore a black one and a navy one, and I actually didn't even notice it until about the end of the day when I was sitting in my office and I looked at my feet and I was like, oh my God, I spent the whole day, including presentations, in a blue shoe and a black shoe. I don't know if anyone noticed. Nobody was ever, nobody ever said anything to me, but I was just totally embarrassed that I'd actually had two different colored shoes on all day and hadn't even noticed. That was when I began bringing spare shoes to work and spare things to work and in my car, so that if something like that ever happened again, I could prevent it. I was also thinking about things like we had a whaler's wall at my work where, and that wasn't the name of it, but I called it the whaler's wall because it was in this hidden location where everybody in the department that I ran at the time would write stuff, and it was kind of a history of that department and a history of the business, but it was also a whole lot of bitching and moaning and complaining. And it was funny until all the bitching and moaning and complaining was about me, because I was their boss and they didn't like a woman boss. And so that became a historical event on the whaler's wall where there was a lot of stuff on it. But it was funny. A lot of it was funny and humorous, but a lot of it was also very inappropriate, and ended up having to teach diversity training in that organization because there was some cluelessness going on in terms of how you treat other human beings, not just women. But I realized that my whole life has been 90% science, 10% art, and probably less than 10% art in my personal application of things. And what I've been showing you through these, day 28, through these 27 previous days, is the process, predominantly the process, which is the 90%. And I've sprinkled a few things in there that are art, the deeper thought things, but we've gone pretty much over the process. You know, we started on day 3 with the formula, because I like formulas for what supersize, or how, the basics for supersize. Then we went on day 9, and it was day 3 and then a few days after in detail. Then day 9, we started talking about your super offer and what you do for your super service, what you do for other people. And that we spent a couple days talking about that. But it was basically the process and then a little bit of how you apply that process. So the process is 90%, and then how you apply that process is the 10%. That's the art. And then day 12, we started talking about the SWOT analysis, and we spent a couple of days breaking that down. And then day 15, I think-ish, we started talking about the strategies, and then we went in detail through the process steps that you use to apply the strategy step of the Supersize Your Business process. Now, all of that, a lot of that, the majority of that, 90% of that has been process. Now, so if you follow the process, you'll get results. But if you really want to supersize your business, you add you to the equation. You add you and what uniquely brings your personality and your superpowers and you into applying the process. How you apply the process uniquely and differently. That's the art part. I think it's funny because in school, I loved art. I was studying science and doing college prep and everything, and I really was focused on that. But as my electives, all my elective courses were art. And I did really well in art. My art teacher wanted me to go to art school, and I said, no, I have to go to business school ended up going to engineering school, but I mean, I have to do all this because I want to go out and get a good job. I grew up in that era. We know how that worked out. I've been on my own for about 15 years now. But no, that worked out well too. I spent a quarter century in corporate America. But my aha today was that my entire life has been spent focusing on the 90%, which is, I guess, probably a good idea for long-term success. But what have I missed out on? What funny, lighthearted, relationship type situations have I missed out on because I wasn't really paying attention to the 10%? So my personal task going forward is to figure out more of how do I put me and people and relationships and the uniqueness that I am, my personality, into the experiences of applying the 90%. And I guess my challenge for you today is to do the same. Today, think about, we've learned the 90%. So really think about today, how will you put you into the equation? How will you apply you and your unique strengths and superpowers and what's important to you in supersizing your business to this whole process? That's it. Go out, have a fabulous day. I will see you tomorrow with day 29 of the Supersize Challenge. Bye. Pajama Grandma out.